When pain enters our lives, the first instinct is to retreat, to question, to resist, to cry out. Why me? We've been taught to associate pain with punishment as if struggle is some form of cosmic consequence. But pain is not an enemy. It is a messenger, a teacher, a sculptor of character. Pain strips away the comfort zones that keep us stagnant. It breaks down the illusions we've built around us. The belief that success should come easy, that happiness should be uninterrupted, that life should flow without resistance. Pain interrupts those expectations. It demands attention. It shakes the soul to wake it up. In the face of hardship, we often feel like we're being broken. And in a way we are, but not into pieces that will never be whole again. We are being broken open so something greater can emerge. Growth is painful because it requires shedding who we were, shedding what no longer fits, shedding what we thought was enough to make room for what we truly need to become. Pain is preparation because it forces you to become more than you were. You do not gain wisdom in comfort. You don't discover strength in ease. Those qualities are born through resistance, like muscles under tension. You learn resilience when the plan falls apart. You learn courage when the fear is real. You learn patience when there's nothing to do but wait and keep going anyway. There are lessons that only pain can teach. You learn who your real friends are. Not when things are going well, but when they're not. You learn to depend on yourself in the absence of support. You learn that your voice matters when silence becomes unbearable. Pain clarifies, it focuses. It removes distractions and forces you to ask, what really matters? And in asking that, you begin to realign. Pain is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of transformation. It's the beginning of depth, of empathy, of understanding that goes beyond words. People who have walked through pain speak differently. They love more gently. They listen more fully. They carry a quiet authority that doesn't come from titles or status. It comes from having bled, healed, and continued forward. Preparation is about readiness. Pain doesn't just prepare you for more pain. It prepares you for more life. It teaches you how to carry heavy things so that when the opportunity comes, you have the strength to hold it. It trains you for the weight of responsibility, the weight of leadership, the weight of your own potential. And perhaps the most important part is this pain reveals what you're made of. When everything is stripped away, your routine, your comfort, your certainty, what's left is who you truly are. And from that raw place, you can rebuild, not as a copy of who you used to be, but as someone more intentional, more grounded, more powerful. So many people run from pain, numb it, hide from it, mask it with distraction. But those who face it, who allow themselves to sit in the fire and not flinch, they come out changed. They come out sharpened. Just as steel must be forged under heat, so must the human spirit. You don't get strength from reading about it. You get it from surviving what was meant to break you. And no, it doesn't fare. It doesn't always feel noble. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's lonely. But that doesn't make it less valuable. That doesn't mean it's punishment. The world may not applaud your suffering, but that's not the point. Because pain is not about what others see. It's about what it builds inside of you. Quietly, relentlessly, authentically. Struggle is not the opposite of success. It is often the very path that leads to it. Somewhere along the way, many people have come to believe that if you're struggling, it must mean you're failing. That if things are hard, maybe it's not meant to be. That if you're facing resistance, obstacles, delays, detours, it must be a sign that you should stop. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Struggle is not an indication that you're going the wrong way. Many times, it's confirmation that you're headed somewhere that matters. There is a myth that successful people walk a smooth path, that they possess some secret formula or natural talent that keeps them from falling down. But when you look closer, the opposite is true. The ones who reach their goals, the ones who rise, they struggle too. They face rejection, criticism, burnout, financial hardship, sleepless nights, personal doubt. The only difference is they don't stop. They keep moving. Progress doesn't always look like momentum. Sometimes it looks like crawling forward on your hands and knees, dragging yourself through the mess, the uncertainty, the fear. Sometimes the most heroic act of all is simply choosing not to give up when everything inside you says it would be easier to quit. Success is not always fast, and it's rarely convenient. It's messy. It's uncertain. It's built 1 inch at a time through the struggle that nobody else sees. Struggling does not disqualify you. It does not mean you're weak or unworthy. It means you're in the arena. It means you're fighting for something. The very act of showing up, even when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or unsure, is a form of success on its own. There are days when it will feel like you are making no progress at all, like you're stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels. But forward is forward. Even the smallest step counts. It's easy to romanticize the idea of success. Social media shows us the highlight reels. People smiling with trophies, signing contracts, sharing milestones. But what it rarely shows are the sacrifices behind those moments, the doubt behind the smile, the struggle behind the victory. And it's in those unseen hours, those nights, you sit alone wondering if you're wasting your time, that your strength is forged. Struggle is not proof that you're off track. It's proof that you're doing the work that matters. There will be people who don't understand, who question why you keep going, who point out how hard it looks and suggest you should take a step back, slow down, settle. But they don't see what you see. They don't know what you feel when you imagine the life you want to create. The fire that pushes you forward isn't for everyone else to understand. That fire is yours. That vision is yours. So even if you're struggling, even if nothing seems to be working, don't stop. Keep moving. You don't need to have it all figured out to keep going. Clarity often comes through movement. Answers are often found through action, not waiting. Every challenge you overcome builds resilience. Every setback you survive builds character. Every small win you earn along the way reinforces the fact that you're capable of far more than you think. And maybe most importantly, the struggle is what will allow you to truly appreciate the success when it comes. If everything came easily, it would have no value. But when you fought for every inch, every breakthrough, every opportunity, when you've poured yourself into the journey, the reward means something deeper. It's not just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. You can stumble. You can question yourself, cry, fail, and try again, and still succeed. The road to greatness isn't walked without wounds. You will struggle, but the ones who win are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who never stay down for long. The world loves to celebrate the moment someone wins. The standing ovation, the bright lights, the roar of the crowd. But what it doesn't see, what it rarely acknowledges, is the quiet behind the scenes journey that leads to that moment. The hours when no one's watching, the grind when no one's applauding, the decisions made in isolation, the sacrifices made without recognition. That is where champions are truly made. Not in the moment they're handed the trophy, but in the moments they choose to show up even when there's no visible reward in sight. Becoming great is not a product of exposure, it's a product of discipline. It's born in the silence of early mornings and late nights where you push through fatigue, where you keep going even though no one's around to cheer you on. It's in the times when you choose to study instead of sleep, to train instead of relax, to believe instead of doubt. No one claps for you then. There are no cameras, no headlines, just the echo of your own breath and the weight of your own commitment. The silence is uncomfortable. There's no feedback loop, no instant gratification. You won't know right away if what you're doing is working. You won't feel successful every day. You may even feel like you're wasting your time. But this is where internal power is formed. When no one is there to validate your effort, and you still give it everything you've got, that's when you begin to transform. Because in those moments, you're not performing for others. You're building yourself from the inside out. Real champions don't need constant approval. They don't chase applause. They're fueled by purpose, not popularity. They understand that the process matters more than perception. That mastering your craft when no one's looking is far more important than impressing a crowd that doesn't understand the work it took to get there. When you focus on becoming rather than being seen, you shift from seeking attention to creating impact. There's a certain solitude in this path. Friends may fade away. Opportunities may be delayed. The comfort of the familiar might have to be left behind. But champions accept this cost. They don't resist the silence. They embrace it because they know it's temporary. They know that every rep in the gym, every page read, every hour of rehearsal or planning or strategy, they know that's money in the bank. That's fuel in the tank. That's foundation being laid for a moment that hasn't come yet, but will. Silence teaches patience. It teaches you not to rush the journey. It shows you that greatness isn't built overnight and that real success isn't flashy. It's quiet, consistent effort compounded over time. You begin to understand that mastery is about repetition, that excellence is about endurance. You start to take pride not in the end result, but in the process of becoming relentless. There's nothing glamorous about it. Waking up early to train, staying late to practice, staying humble when no one is giving you credit. These are not things that trend on social media, but they're the very bricks that build greatness, the very essence of what separates those who wish from those who work. The ones who stay disciplined in silence are the ones who shine with authenticity when the spotlight finally arrives. And when that moment comes, when the world finally sees what you've become, people will call you lucky. They'll say it happened overnight. But you'll know the truth. You'll remember the early mornings when you didn't want to get up. The nights when you felt like quitting. The times you doubted yourself but chose to try anyway. You'll remember the silence and how it shaped you. Everyone has that day. The one where nothing seems to go right. The kind of day that tests your spirit, shakes your confidence, and makes you question every thought you knew about yourself. It's the day when the weight feels too heavy, when the news you feared becomes real, when the door you were counting on slams shut in your face. These days don't warn you before they arrive. They hit hard, fast, and sometimes without mercy. But even in the middle of that storm, there is one truth that doesn't change. You are stronger than your worst day. It's easy to believe in your strength when things are going well. When the path is clear, when momentum is on your side, when you feel capable and everything seems to be falling into place, confidence flows naturally. But strength isn't truly measured on the good days. It's measured when life falls apart and you're still standing. It's tested when your heart is breaking, when your plans are unraveling, and yet you get back up. Maybe slower, maybe shakier, but you rise all the same. Your worst day doesn't define you. It's not the final word on who you are or what you're capable of. It's just one chapter in a much larger story. Painful chapters, yes, Confusing chapters, definitely, but they do not erase your value. They do not cancel your potential. They are part of the journey, not the end of it. And sometimes it's in the aftermath of those dark moments that your grace breakthroughs begin. It's important to remember that survival is a form of strength. If you're here, if you're still breathing, if you're still fighting, then you've already overcome more than many people know. The fact that you've made it through past battles, through heartbreaks, disappointments, failures, that's evidence of a quiet, resilient strength inside you that cannot be taken away. You didn't fold. You didn't vanish. You may have been knocked down, but you're still here. That counts for something. Worst days often come with thoughts that lie. They whisper that you're not enough, that it's over, that there's no point trying anymore. But these thoughts are not truth. They're echoes of exhaustion, fear, and pain. They distort reality and shrink your vision. You begin to forget the times you did succeed, the challenges you did overcome, the strength you have shown. But strength isn't gone just because you feel weak. It doesn't disappear just because you're tired. Sometimes it's simply buried beneath the weight of the moment, waiting for you to remember it's still there. The hardest days will tempt you to give up, to retreat, to isolate. But those are the exact moments when you must remind yourself that strength isn't loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes strength is quiet. It's the soft voice that says, just one more step. It's getting out of bed when your soul feels heavy. It's making a decision even when you're unsure. It's continuing not because it's easy, but because you've decided that you won't be defined by a single day, no matter how difficult it is. Every storm passes. Every low point eventually gives way to a rise. And though you may not see it while you're in the middle of the darkness, you are growing even then. There are parts of yourself being revealed, parts you might never have discovered without being pushed to your limits. The strength you find in those moments is real, lasting, and hard-earned. It doesn't come from perfection. It comes from perseverance. It's built through tears, setbacks, and hard decisions. It's born from the choice to keep going when nothing in your life feels stable. There's a version of you on the other side of that bad day. A version that's wiser, tougher, and more compassionate because of what you endured. But to reach that version, you have to keep showing up, even if it means crawling through the pain, even if you don't know what tomorrow holds. Your worst day might feel like the end, but it's only a passage. What you do in the middle of it, how you carry yourself, how you speak to yourself, how you choose to move forward will determine who you become. Life doesn't hand you a completed script. It gives you a blank page every morning and asks you to keep writing. Some days the words come easily. Other days the ink runs dry and it feels like you've lost the plot. But no matter how many wrong turns are written, chapters there are, one thing remains true: your story isn't over. Every breath you take is proof that the pen is still in your hand. And no matter how broken, stuck, or uncertain you feel right now, this is not the end. There are moments in life that feel final. The betrayal you didn't see coming. The dream that fell apart just when it seemed within reach. The opportunity that slipped through your fingers after you gave it everything. Those moments feel like full stops. Like the final page has been turned and there's nothing more to say. But that's just emotion speaking in the heat of the moment. Those aren't endings. They're turning points. They're pauses in the plot, not conclusions. They're the spaces where the character, that's you, decides what comes next. Stories are never defined by how perfect they are. They're defined by the tension, the struggle, the transformation that happens through adversity. The most compelling stories, The ones that leave a mark are the ones where the hero is tested, doubted, pushed to the edge, and still chooses to rise. What makes a story powerful isn't how smooth the ride was. It's how deep the valleys were and how you climbed out of them. You don't need to erase the hard chapters. You need to learn from them, grow through them, and keep writing past them. You may not be where you want to be. You may not understand why things had to happen the way they did. But none of that means your journey is finished. Sometimes the plot slows down. Sometimes the character development takes time. Sometimes you're in a chapter that feels dull, painful, or even hopeless. That doesn't mean the story is broken. It just means it's still unfolding. The best parts may be waiting in the next few pages, but you'll never find out if you stop turning them. What you've been through matters. But what matters more is how you choose to respond to it. You don't get to rewrite the past, but you get to decide what comes next. That's the power you hold, even when it feels like you've lost everything. The ability to choose your next move, the courage to keep showing up, the decision to rewrite the narrative that says you're done, that says it's too late, that says this as far as you'll ever go. That voice is not your truth. It's fear trying to hold the pen. Take it back. You are the author of your life. And yes, there will be chapters filled with pain. There will be scenes that you wish had turned out differently. But the most powerful stories are never perfect. They're real. They're raw. They're layered with experience, emotion, and redemption. Your scars, your stumbles, your setbacks, they all have a place in your story. Not as marks of shame, but as evidence that you've lived, fought, and endured. They give your journey weight. They make your victories mean something. And even now, with all the uncertainty, you have something many people forget they possess, the ability to change direction, the ability to rewrite the next paragraph, the ability to introduce a plot twist that no one saw coming. Just because things haven't worked out yet doesn't mean they won't. Just because you've struggled doesn't mean success is out of reach. And just because you feel lost doesn't mean you're not on your way somewhere meaningful. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will see your vision. But this story isn't for them. It's yours. You're the one who has to wake up with it, carry it, build it. And if you're in a chapter that hurts right now, don't stop writing. If you're in a chapter that's silent, uncertain, slow, don't set the book down. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know how close you are to the breakthrough. The pain may be loud now, but it doesn't get the final word. The road through hard times is never easy, but it's always shaping you. Every challenge you've faced, every night you've questioned your worth, every quiet moment where you chose to keep going instead of giving in, that was preparation, not punishment. Because struggle doesn't cancel success. It carves the path to it. And real success, it's not made in the spotlight. It's made in silence. When you decide to keep moving with no one watching, no one clapping, no guarantees. You've faced storms that tried to break you, but they didn't. Because you are stronger than your worst day. Stronger than the fear, the failure, the doubt. And even if the world hasn't seen your strength yet, that doesn't mean it isn't there. It means the story isn't done. You are still becoming, still building, still writing the chapters that will one day make sense of all the pain. So don't stop now. Don't hand the pen to fear. Don't give the silence the power to define you. Your story matters. Your fight matters. And the most important pages are still ahead. Keep moving, keep writing, keep becoming. Because you were never meant to break. You were made to rise. Would you like a version of the full script compiled for stage, voiceover, or video production?